I would always recommend to network with those guys if you're trying to buy your first laundromat, because they get first dibs generally, right? They get first dibs on that laundromat that they're servicing.
I'm a huge subscriber to the quote, your net worth is in your network. And so who you're networking with,
that one? How's that possible?
Matters. I don't know. It's not my quote. So
I love it. When I first started listening to you, I was like, I want to be on this podcast one day. So it is I'm probably going to start crying as soon as I get off of here, but it's pretty cool. Tony, the repair tech, called me up one day and said, hey, you remember this laundromat? Because we had talked about it before. I think you can get it for free. And I'm like, okay.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Jordan with the Laundromat Resource Podcast. This is show 202, and I am super pumped to have you here today because today we've got Amy Berkowitz on the show, and this episode is, there's something for everybody in this one. So whether you own a laundromat or you don't own a laundromat, or you've got pickup and delivery, or you're trying to start a pickup and delivery, there's literally something for everyone here. Amy is one of my favorite people, and this is one of my favorite episodes, and you're going to get a ton out of this episode. That's a money back guarantee right there, and get excited about it. Hey, the last thing before we jump into it with Amy is I wanted to just let you know that we've got Mastermind groups launching again, our new Mastermind induction ceremony, Mastermind, I forget what we call them, Mastermind induction night. I don't know. We're putting together new Mastermind groups for our pro community over there. If that's something that you want to do, if you want to have a group of people who are insane about laundromats, just like you and me, and who can help you get to the next level, whether that's buying your first one or optimizing your existing laundromat or laundromat pickup and delivery business, or scaling out. We've got people at all levels in the pro community over there, and we love to pair you guys up. Not pair, but group you guys up into groups of about 4 to 6 max. So that you can keep each other accountable, help each other solve problems, have some community and camaraderie within your group, and a whole lot more. So these mastermind groups have by far been the most popular thing that we've done with the pro community. So that's included in it. So head over to laundromatresource.com/pro if you want to get in on that. And then obviously you also get unlimited access to all of our tools, resources, calculators, all that stuff as well. What a bargain. What a bargain. Okay. Speaking of bargains, you're getting a bargain right here and right now with a interview with Amy Berkowitz, who is just going to give you a whole bunch of knowledge and wisdom, hard earned by her, free to you. Let's jump into it with Amy. Amy, you are here and I am pumped about it. How are you doing today?
Great. Beautiful day in San Diego.
Listen, I'm in Hawaii, so we're doing the Paradise to Paradise podcast today. Man, that's like a good podcast. Maybe we should start a podcast called Paradise to Paradise.
Hey, I'm down.
I know. We could just talk laundry all day.
All day, every day. Yes.
Yeah.
So I do have to tell you. So I was telling my son this morning about what I was doing today, and I was like, I'm going to be on Jordan Berry's podcast. And he says, okay, so mind you, he's 16. Anyone who has 16-year-old kids knows. And he's like, Mom, stop glazing. You're glazing so hard. Okay. You know what that means?
Tell me what it means.
You have teenagers.
I've got a 13-year-old and 11-year-old.
So the glazing is like flattery, like you're just like fawning, or like you want to flatter somebody, you're just like praising them, you're kind of almost like a kiss ass suck up kind of thing, but at the same time like I'm not worthy. No.
Well, I appreciate the sentiment, but listen, I was kind of doing the same thing this morning, because when we got on a consulting call, I think like last July or something, or maybe before that even. Maybe it was, I can't remember.
Yeah.
Exactly. It was either last July or I don't know.
I think it was July. It was July.
I think it was.
Or August for sure.
It was July. I know it was July 24th. I have it written down. I have notes from it. So anyways, I'm just pretending like I don't know, but I know. Yeah. But I was, when we were talking, like you had an interesting thing going on, and I was like super excited after that call, and to see you here now kind of doing the thing. I'm just excited to hear more about it. I'm excited for you to share kind of your story about it, because it's pretty cool. Like,
it's very cool.
It's pretty cool.
And I'm going to glaze you throughout this process, throughout this podcast.
I'm going to deflect every time. I'll just let you know.
I'm going to warn you. But yes, I do feel like I kind of went through the Laundromat Resource Academy podcast consumption, and was all in on my journey to get where I am today. And I have a clear vision for the future. Well, it's not super clear, but it's out there.
I love it. Okay. So why don't you tell us a little bit about who you are, and then why you got into this laundromat idea?
Okay. All right. I'm going to try and be brief here, but
that's okay. Actually, I'll just tell you, just put your mind at ease. Is first of all, everybody always tells me I'm too long-winded and all that. And even this morning, I woke up to a YouTube comment from a previous, like a way long ago podcast episode, like 60 something episode. And somebody's like, stop talking so much and all that. So, like it just is what it is. And if you want the wisdom that Amy's got for you, you just have to wait through the conversation. So there you go. Go for it. You're in good company is what I'm trying to say.
I appreciate that. And I appreciate your long-windedness. So
thank you. I appreciate it. Sure. Yeah.
So, okay, we'll start, I guess, in October. Yeah. October of 2023. So my previous job was a marketing strategist, and part of my job was to work with our advertising clients, and like kind of engrossing myself into their business and trying to learn other ways in which we could promote their services, their offerings, whatever. And so kind of beyond just the tactical ad sales spots and dots and digital ads and whatnot. So we had so basically I was supposed to like learn a lot about businesses, our advertisers. We had a new car wash come in, and we already had like all these car wash clients in the last like maybe 3-4 years. And so when this new one came in, it was coming kind of new to the market. And so I was doing research on it. I was like scratching my head. I'm like, what are these car washes like buying advertising? That's not cheap. Like this is not, small ad budget advertising, for a local car wash. Right. So anyway, I found out that of some like researching this company, I find out they're like majorly expanding across the US, huge expansion plans, all this stuff. I was like, dang, like how much money is in car washes, So here I am, like next thing you know which is kind of part of my job.
Yeah. You're working. I count it.
Going down a rabbit hole of like, car washes, laundromats, storage units are amongst the, top semi-passive businesses, lucrative, So I'm like, next thing you know, I'm on Biz Buy Sell looking at a laundromat for sale. So that's the kind of the starting point. And it made me flash back to, I kind of grew up, my brother and I grew up in laundromats. We had a single dad. We had no washer and dryer at home. And, it was a really old house. So we were at the laundromat every week, and he was, putting me in a dryer and spinning me around, and, pushing him in carts, and
nightmare of every laundromat owner, by the way. Yeah,
yes, we were those kids. Yeah, way pre-device time. It was like, what are you gonna do? You're gonna mess around with your brother.
Cause trouble. Yeah,
cause trouble in the laundromat. But at any rate, my dad had, I just recall, and I haven't talked to him so recently about exactly what happened, but it sounded like in my mind, it was like he was on the verge of buying it. And the little bit that we've talked about it since then, it was like, I was never going to buy that laundromat. But I think he was just like overwhelmed. But in my head, I remember it being like, we almost bought a laundromat. And I thought it was going to be so cool for us to have this laundromat.
Yeah.
And
it is, by the way, super cool.
It is super cool.
Super cool. I don't care what anybody says. So cool.
So yeah, kind of like getting into that and like flashing back to that, childhood memory of being in the dryer and whatnot. I was like, that, like I said, and the next thing I know, I'm on Biz Buy Sell, seriously looking at laundromats, and it's just like going on in my head. I'm like, maybe I could kind of, fulfill my dad's dream, which was really my dream.
Your perception of your dad's dream. Yeah.
Exactly. My perception of my dad's dream. It's exactly what it was. So, yeah. And then I started talking to the owner of one, and was just like, geez, it happened really, really fast in terms of the conversation and me basically kind of flipping a switch going, I think I can do this. I think I want to do this. And then December of 2023, I got fired a week before Christmas, which was devastating. And I basically, had a pity party for a couple of weeks. And then I was like, kind of halfway looking for a new job in my same industry that I've basically been in advertising sales for 30 years. And I just was like, my heart is not in this. Like, I think I cannot go back to corporate life. And what I have done for most of my career is help small businesses like laundromat owners and car wash owners and HVAC companies and, small service companies, small businesses in general. So it kind of like, basically I decided that's what I'm going to do.
Time to help yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I started listening to you probably in October of 2023, and
probably the best month of your life, I would guess. I don't
obviously.
Just kidding.
Especially when I found out you're not from Tennessee, right? You
family from Tennessee. I spent all my summers in Tennessee. My Tennessee drawl comes out. What's that?
Where?
Knoxville, East Tennessee. Knoxville. Okay,
yeah, we just talked about this.
Yeah, we did.
I grew up in Fountain City.
Yeah.
Like I split time there and in Knoxville, Fountain City's in Knoxville. Anyway, scratch that stuff. Yes. So that was the best month of my life, starting my laundromat journey, which I didn't really realize. What started out as like, hey, I'm going to do this little side hustle thing, and then getting fired and like, hey, you know what? I think I've been helping advertisers with their marketing and sales on that side. And I always, and it's kind of funny because I did along the way a little bit, but in hindsight, I had major envy of my clients and their freedom of time and, profitable business and having, what that can afford you. Right. And so I really just kind of was like, I'm so burnt with what I had just gone through with getting fired and everything. I was like, I'm just going to do it. I'm going all in. And this, obviously, I learned a lot from your podcast. Here we go, glazing again. I'm going to glaze a little bit more, but yes, yours. And then I got turned on to Dave Menz and Laundromat Millionaire. So, consumed all yours, and I didn't have a job, right? So I had a lot of time on my hands to like really take it in. And it's funny because I never watch, I always listen. So it's like, driving, I started the pickup and delivery business. And actually I started planning it right away in January of 2024. Really kind of launched in March, like a year ago. And then
happy anniversary.
Thank you. It's getting there.
Yeah.
I need to go back and look at my calendar because it's definitely a year, or it's about to be a year. But
we're recording in March, so
I have to have
you're right on it. You should have a party.
Yeah.
A bubble party.
A what?
A bubble party. Bubble, like bubbles everywhere.
You should definitely have some bubbles.
Maybe like a foam rager, like the kids, the college kids do,
I like that idea.
Yeah.
Yes. I still I have a lot to do, but so after started the pickup and delivery service, I got an app. So I got that, I wanted to just go big out of the gate. People are like, you have an app? I'm like, I have an app that Sense made me.
You get credit for it. You don't got to give them credit for anything.
Yeah. They're like, wow, that's so cool.
Yeah.
So anyway, I then I'm in search of Laundromat. So the original Laundromat.
Okay, wait, hold on. Okay. So you're laid off in December 2023. You have your pity party. January 2024, you start planning your pickup and delivery service, no laundromat, right?
Yes.
Around somewhere in March.
Laundromat.
Yes.
I knew it was going to take time. So in the meantime, started the pickup and delivery service.
Okay. So March, you launched this pickup and delivery business. Is that okay? So Can we talk January to March for a second? What does planning this out look like and the launch of that look like?
Yeah. So I did tons of research on platforms, like software systems. And I kind of felt like I was interviewing those companies. I think I interviewed, quote unquote, 4 different ones. Ultimately decided with one. Can I?
Yeah, you can say. Yeah.
Okay. I went with Sense, and I'll glaze on them too. It's going to be a little glazing party for everybody. But
there's positivity going around. I love it. It's great.
Yes.
It's great.
So I actually started with Clean Cloud, and then I ended up switching. And part of the reason I ended up switching is because apps are Sense. 2 things. Sense, 3 things now that I think about it. They offered the app, creating the app for me, a branded app, right? It's not, people aren't going to try sense.com or whatever. So it's Bubbles app. And the other thing that I wanted to do, which this came from inspiration, also from listening to you and your guests.
Probably the guests. I'm just going to deflect all the praise you're giving me. It's mostly the guests.
Yes.
People don't want to hear from me. That's what I've learned on YouTube. People don't want to hear from me. They want to hear from you. So apologize for interrupting you. Keep going.
But you're doing a great job as a host, pulling this information out of people, which is so valuable to us, right? So thank you for doing such a good job with that. I do appreciate it.
Thank
Try
you.
not to blaze too hard. Okay.
Yeah. Keep going. Keep going.
So I also started a nonprofit at the same time. So my thought is that I will give, so in 2020, COVID, I also had breast cancer and went through breast cancer treatment. So I wanted to, and again, because kind of came to me epiphany, and as I was creating these brands, is that I wanted to, also part of my previous job was to, like I was mentioning, is to kind of dig deeper into companies that are working with us and find out ways in which we can promote them better. One of the ways we always kind of just went down the path of is their philanthropy and what they're doing, because obviously people, it's been proven people have an affinity towards somebody who's doing a good community service and is a good community partner and all that kind of stuff, right? So I wanted to have that component to my business as well. And my cause, which is breast cancer laundry service, free breast cancer laundry service, not breast cancer laundry service, free laundry service for people undergoing breast cancer treatment.
Okay. I'm glad you clarified that. So I was really confused on what was getting washed.
That's weird. That's weird. No. So it's
I love that, by the way. Thank you. So cool. It really is. It's so cool. And my mom's had breast cancer twice, and I just know like what it's like to go through that. And you've got these moms who are, a lot of them are the ones doing the laundry, right? And so being able to take a chore off, that's a really, really cool nonprofit.
Thank you.
Really cool.
Thank you. Well, and you know what? I think knowing firsthand, yes, I was very fortunate that through my treatment, I was not like consistently down and out. So I would say for the most part, I fared very, very well. I know people who do not and did not. And even when I had my bad days, if somebody would have said, hey, we're going to just throw your laundry and your kids' laundry outside in a bag, and the laundry fairy is going to come and pick it up and puts her little pixie dust on it and bring it back, and it's going to be amazing, I would have said, yeah, I'll pass on the casserole, give me the laundry service, or come clean my house, or whatever it might be. So, so a portion of our sales goes to the Bosom Buddies Relief Fund, which offers the free laundry service to breast cancer patients. Awesome service and awesome name as well. Thank you. Yeah, the Bosom Buddies. I kind of aging myself a little bit because it's kind of funny because people, don't remember that show.
I remember it. I'm kind of old now. I'm kind of old now too, but I remember it. So,
but there's a lot of people younger people are like, bubbles for bosom, like they don't know how to say it.
Yeah, I think now you can just say boobies. That's what the tatas
as a possible brand name too, but yeah.
Well, considering the preface that you gave me to recording this is that you've got a little bit of a sailor mouth. I'm surprised you didn't go a little more graphic on it. So
that's pretty good.
Yeah. Very, very cool. Very cool nonprofit. I love that. And, I think there's a lot to be said about, I talk a lot about things that you can do with your laundry service to serve your community and stuff. That is a very, very cool one. And one that I think it's so cool, partially because it's close to home, right?
Yeah.
With my mom, having gone through it a couple of times and just seeing how hard that is. But I love that. Okay. So you're planning this all out. You've got your software locked in. Yeah.
So that was one of the things is I wanted to do with my software program is for customers to have the option to bubble up their change or round up to the nearest dollar. And then that would go into my nonprofit to support the free service. So they have that feature. They currently don't have the feature that would go to the operator's choice of charities, but they're working on it. And then I think the third thing for me at that time was not having a laundromat and kind of being a one-woman show, doing everything out of my garage and my, one laundromat partner, was they have the option to turn on gig drivers and not just Uber or Lyft. They have 5 or 6 that the app will automatically choose. I feel like I'm a Sense commercial right now, but the app will automatically choose which is the most affordable option of the many different services they use. So anyway, I ended up switching to Sense, and for that reason, because I was like, I can't necessarily be driving and processing at the same time, right? And then doing marketing and sales and everything else. So I liked that, having that feature. And I think a lot of people do now too, but anyway, I ended up going with Sense. So yeah, that was, and then the next step, I guess, would be that there was this, in my little community in San Diego, it's about, I think it's not quite 30,000 people. And there's only like 2 ways in, 2 ways out. Like there's not when people come here, you either live here or you're delivering something here or whatever. Anyway, so not a lot of traffic, whatever. We have this little flower stand. There used to be a flower stand and on the main street. And it's been like broken down. Nobody's leased it for years. And I hunted down who owned it. And it was the church that it's in front of owns it. So I approached them and asked them if I could fix it up in exchange for like some free rent, or some rent abatement concessions, whatever, for a while. And they loved the idea. They loved the idea of the service. And so my idea there was I put in lockers, laundry lockers, because there's no water there. So it's just electricity. That's all they had. So basically, it was perfect for a locker situation. So I set up lockers in there and manned it for a while because it just took a while for people. It's still taking a while for people to understand what goes on there. So that was in May. I'm trying to think of like the timeline. So May I secured the spot of May of 2024. And which was like coincided almost perfectly with our little town parade that we have, our annual parade. It's right on the route of the parade. So we had my bubble machine going. We had like the flags out, which are like my bags. They're not flags. They're my pink bags you can see behind me. But we had, just a whole bunch of fun giving out bubbles and playing with bubbles and trying to draw people in. There was a lot of interest. It couldn't have been better timing to kind of open the doors.
Yeah.
So
awesome. So I love having the drop location and having the lockers and stuff. Before you did that, like, how did you, okay, you've got your software, you've got your app. How'd you actually start? How'd you get your first client? Like, how do you, cause there's a lot of people I think who are interested in doing like pickup and delivery before they get their laundromat, either because they can't find one yet, or they don't have enough money to buy a location. So they just want to get in the business. How'd you start? How'd you get this thing launched?
A great question.
Thank you.
Marketing. So I have background in marketing. So I created my logo with a girlfriend of mine. Shout out to Elise. Thank you so much. She's a graphic designer. So I started out with, really kind of started out with creating the brand. And, and then, kind of coming to terms doesn't sound right, but like, basically deciding what I want the brand to be and represent, right? So we created the logo, created the nonprofit, and then I just kind of started networking like crazy because I was also simultaneously, I'm looking for a laundromat, right? Because I know that I had the guy, my laundromat partner I mentioned, he's actually the guy I was going to buy the laundromat from late in 2023. So what ended up happening in that situation was that he ended up taking it off the market. He prematurely put it on the market. Long story, but he didn't want to sell it after all. So, but he and I became friends, and he gave me a lot of good advice, and basically kind of assured me that like when it goes back on market, which he knows it will, I'll be the first one he calls. And, we kind of built a nice little friendship, and I consider him a mentor. But I worked with him to create a partnership where he would offer me 20% discount on using machines. If I hit a certain threshold of pounds. And then also, once I get to a place where I'm needing, after hours access, those types of things, he was going to offer that as well. So I never ended up needing like the after hours access or anything like that. But I ended up turning my garage into kind of a little mini laundromat. Yeah. So between my house and using his big machines for comforters and the bigger orders and things like that. It was kind of got the operation going. But the marketing, I think going back to your original question, just creating the brand and then promoting it, networking, sending it out. I was very active on LinkedIn, created social media channels for the brand and really just started promoting the heck out of it. The town parade helped. I distributed tons of cards there. I've been supportive of, I sponsored the football team. We actually did a little trade, right? So I washed the football uniforms and I get a banner at the games, doing lots of gift baskets for fundraisers, really trying to do a lot of community stuff because for one, I do absolutely love my community and it is kind of, even though it's tucked in San Diego, it's definitely a unique. They call it the island in the hills because it's kind of what I was talking about. Like there's no pass through here, so you have to come in and go out. So I love doing the community sponsorship type stuff. There's a animal hospital behind my little hut. I call it the Bubbles Hut, is where the lockers are, and they do once a quarter, they do like free dog. Well, I guess it's not free dog wash, but they do it for a donation to their nonprofit of dog washing. And so at that time too, we did like a little social media thing where they were promoting their event. I was promoting, if you get your dog wash, I'm going to give you and do your pet bed, drop your pet bed off with us. We'll give you a free pet bed wash if you make the donation for this and da-da-da. So we kind of really did a lot of community stuff, social media, some Facebook posts, boosted posts, things like that. Then I started Google Ads. So I put some budget around PPC, and that helped. But and I'm not a numbers person. So I know you might ask me about pounds and stuff like that. I don't really look at that. I really just look at the money. But I know, part of it is I've just been crazy busy. So after getting the hut, let's go back. Wait, did I answer your question?
Keep going. Yeah, you're good. You're on a roll.
After
how many pounds did you do? No, I'm just kidding.
Don't ask me about pounds. All this time I'm still on the hunt for my own laundromat. I know I'm on a mission. And so I took all your advice, your guest advice, wherever I got it from, all my consumption of podcasts, laundromat, all things laundromat podcasts all day long. Seriously thought I was my family probably thought I joined some cult or something. Yeah. It's a little cultish, right?
A little bit, but listen, it's be obsessed or be average, right? There you go. You got to kind of be a little obsessed, a little crazy if you want to do something great. So.
I know. And you and your guests are my people, right? So this is where I feel not many people really get it, right? So it's, I think that's always one of the things that I enjoy so much about your podcast, Dave's podcast, is that I feel like we're all, obsessed or.
Yeah. Why do you think I started the podcast? I mean, really, it's just to have friends that get it. That's my main goal here is to make some friends that I can talk about laundry with. So,
so yes, because it is. And I hear this a lot too with, now I'm kind of branched because I'm not that far backed up on yours and Dave's podcast. So now I've branched into other business and entrepreneurial type podcasts. And I hear that all the time that like, it is lonely. And, if your immediate people don't get it, it's like, yeah, I can't imagine what it was like to be an entrepreneur pre-podcast. Like, yeah, what do they do? I guess maybe pick up the phone or have in-person meetings and stuff like that. But yeah, no, the community has been truly an inspiration to me, and hearing other people's stories and really kind of fueling my journey. And like the quotes, I know I showed you on our consulting call, my little thing of quotes that I'm writing down constantly. And I know you love the quotes too, but that they truly have helped me. As like, I'll give you two that I say all the time to myself, mostly, but being the perfection is the enemy of progress. And that one sticks with me all the time because I tend to be a perfectionist and overanalyze and, and I've really grown, I feel like, as a person and my skill set of like, you got to just move on, like make a decision, move on, learn from it. If it's not the right one, whatever, but stop like being in this stuck mode. Right. So then another one kind of along those same lines, speed trumps accuracy. Like that is another one where I'm just like, okay, just pull the trigger, like just go, like, let's go. So thank you again to you and your guests for all that. And the community is truly amazing and so supportive and inspirational. And I look forward to the opportunity where I can help some people too, which I have some of the distributors. That's where we were kind of going to. Like, I'm all over the place. Sorry, but I did network with distributors, per you and your guest advice is like befriend distributors, go to their events. I was like, just walked into, I'm sure he would tell a funny story about it, but walked into the Alliance local distributor. And, I was like, this lady coming in with all her pink on and, I'm ready to take on the laundry world. I think they were probably like, this girl is crazy, but we're going to help her. We're going to, invite her in and meet some other operators. So I went to an Alliance event, which was really cool because they had all the vendors there, learning about a lot of the stuff that I was hopefully going to have to use whenever I got my laundromat. And so then from there, joined Facebook groups and then met other people. I met my LaundryLux distributor rep through a Facebook group, a laundromat owners Facebook group. And through that guy, who's been an amazing mentor as well, shout out Dan Swiger. He was incredibly helpful. He is building his own laundromat. I think it's open now in New Jersey. So the networking thing, I can't say enough about. And I've said this really, it's kind of like a belief I have just as a person. It's like, network as much as you possibly can, meet as many people as you possibly can, because you never know who can help you along the way, whether it's, advice or connections, is amazing. So that's how I got my first laundromat.
Okay, hold on. I want to say just right on the heels of that. I mean, you're talking quotes, you're talking network. I mean, I'm a huge subscriber to the quote, your net worth is in your network. And so who you're networking with.
That one. How's that possible?
Matters. I don't know. It's not my quote. So
I love it.
Maybe like, it sounds like Jim Rohn or something like that. But I think who you're networking with, who you're spending your time with, both online through, podcast, YouTube, social content, like who you're letting influence you, digitally is hugely important, and also in person, right? Like who you're meeting up with.
Yeah.
And a lot of times what I found is that when you're networking, I mean, obviously, like, especially when you're getting started, you're going to get a lot from the people who are doing the thing that you're doing. But a lot of the power actually can come from finding people also who are doing very cool things that aren't doing what you're doing, and finding new things to incorporate into your business through what they're doing in their business or relationships. I mean, like, I think the pet washing thing is like an interesting collaboration, right? Where like you probably never would have thought to do that, whatever that was, right? Like on your own, but because you had this network, this opportunity came up, right? And maybe it played out well and benefited you, or maybe it didn't, but you learned something and your network grew, right? So I'm a huge fan of that.
I love that. And that quote is so spot on, because that definitely, well, you also get friends.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, people like are obsessed in this cult laundry world as much as I am.
Yeah.
So yeah, it is very cool. So through my network, which this is kind of a funny story too. So one of the ways in which I was hunting for laundromats is, again, per the advice of, the community, is sending letters. I just cold called. I've been in sales my whole career basically. So I'm not afraid of cold calling. I'm obviously not very shy. So I would just pop in, try and meet the owner. So I pop into this cute little laundromat, and the owner's there. Of course, he's not necessarily the owner until he knows exactly what I want to talk to him about.
Yeah, he's the manager until then. Yeah.
Are you the owner? It depends.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm not selling anything. I want to buy something. So, when you do that, community, let them know straight away you're not a vendor. You're a buyer. But obviously they also get those people a lot too, I'm sure, right? So anyway, he and I became friends. I made an offer. He had only owned it for not even a month. So
you're like, aren't you tired of this yet?
Yeah.
It's been 3 weeks. Come on, man.
You want to do that?
Try something new. You're an entrepreneur. Yeah. We try new things all the time.
Turns out that it's been a beautiful relationship, because he bought this with his sons, his adult sons and young adult sons. And so he is a repair tech, and he bought the store from the guy that used to, use his services to repair the machines, which, man, those guys, I would always recommend to network with those guys if you're trying to buy your first laundromat, because they get first dibs generally, right? They get first dibs on that laundromat that they're servicing, because they know the ins and outs of what's going on with those machines, what's going on, generally they have a good relationship with the owner. So they kind of know, right? So definitely, I did not realize that when I was searching until it happened. But so they didn't accept my offer to buy it, but they liked it. And they, and I was like, I really like them. They're great guys. And so we started a partnership, not a partnership, a friendship, I guess it would be, because basically just telling him I'm looking as a repair tech. Hey, I'm looking for laundromats actively. Please help me. And so that's actually a lot of ways. The Alliance guy turned me on. The Alliance distributor turned me on to a guy who was selling. I ended up not buying his either, because I think he doesn't really want to sell it. So he's going to put like some crazy number on it.
Yeah.
So I'm glad actually that I didn't force myself into that. Although I really wanted to, because that was going to be my first one. But in hindsight, I'm glad I didn't get that one. So yeah, Tony, the repair tech, called me up one day and said, "Hey, you remember this laundromat?" Because we had talked about it before, not the one I just talked about, but this other one. I think you can get it for free. And I'm like, okay. Because I did look at buying it before and I hard pass. They were out of their mind for what they were asking for.
They were asking $299. I wrote it down and I revisited it.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good. They were asking $299. And then at the end of the day, I told the broker I would take it for free if they wanted to, get out of the lease or whatever the situation was. And then a couple months later, it is up for lease. Not the laundromat, just the space, but the space with everything in it from the laundromat. So yeah, you may also recall this, that basically at the same time, then it was a BOGO, buy one, get one free deal, because another one came up for sale that I ended up getting. That was just kind of a bananas time, but yes. And that's it's 2 miles, but it's 10 minutes away from the for lease one.
What was the time span between those two of getting those two?
1 month. I mean, 1 month, like starting the lease was 1 month. October. So the for lease one I got in October of 2024, and November, literally 1 month later, I got the buy one.
Straight to the deep end. You're just like throwing the floaties off and just diving right in.
What?
Cannonball.
Maybe that whole speed trumps accuracy thing was
it's got its limits, but
let's go.
I love it. Okay, so let's back up before we jump into two at once. Listen, I can't tell you how many calls I've fielded, people looking for a free laundromat. So, and you're in like one of the most competitive markets, right? SoCal market is ultra competitive and you found one there. So enlighten us. What did this process look like for you? I know you kind of like looked at this one to buy, and I remember having that conversation and saying like, what are you buying? Like
right? I'll tell everyone that the consulting call, if you may recall, which obviously if you don't recall, you'll have notes on, but I basically started off with like, okay, Jordan, I know I'm going to run this by you, but I already know what you're going to say. You're going to tell me to walk away. Like, this is dumb, but I kind of felt like I needed to get that direction from you, which I also very much appreciate the consulting services, because not everybody gets what we're doing, right? And so to have, someone to talk to who's hears the stuff all day, every day, lives it, loves it, all that kind of stuff was super helpful too. So starting off the call with like, I kind of felt like I was going to get scolded almost, like, have I taught you nothing? Like,
yeah, you're right.
Listen to everything and like, what are you doing? The lease is terrible. Walk away. And then after our conversation, you're like, oh gosh, this one is a little different. And, the thing that like, I felt like I have permission now that you said was you're betting on yourself. Like it was game over, honestly. And again, I don't want this to come across as glazing hard, whatever, but it truly was like, oh yeah, sorry. Like, yes. Hello, I know me. I know what I'm capable of. I can do this. So I can do this. Let's go. So thank you for that, because it truly was, again, I kind of felt like I was getting permission, from my laundry dad, my laundry daddy. Like, okay, I have taught you some stuff, but I'm going to go against what I taught you in this specific case. Like, it was kind of, so yes. Anyway.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because I literally right before we jumped on this call, I was in a consulting call, and and he was thinking about, signing up for a consulting package, and we were kind of going through it. And he was kind of expressing his feelings, and why he was kind of debating on whether you should do that or not. And I was like, look, really, here's what we're selling is we're selling confidence. Like, that's what we're selling. We want to give you confidence that you have clarity on the business you're buying before you buy it. If you're buying one, right? We want to make sure you have clarity on that, but we also want to give you confidence that this is something that's going to match up with what you're trying to do and who you are and the criteria that you have and all that stuff. Right. And I mean, it's just true. Right. And like, I have steered plenty of people away from deals that probably hundreds of people I've steered away from deals that weren't good fits for them for one reason or another, either because of them and what they're looking for, or because of the laundromat itself and what it was compared to what they were looking for. Right. And sometimes we talk people into buying them that just need a little, like, that confidence boost, right? They just need the permission, to buy it, because you don't know, it's scary. Like, this is just a scary process, right? You're risking a lot of money, yes, but also time and reputation. Like, I know better than anybody just about the reputation you're also risking. Like, a lot of people have said, you're buying a laundromat, like, why are you doing that? And then it went south on me, and I had to sort of like face the facts of like, that one wasn't a good idea for me. And so I had to decide, like, was it laundromats that weren't a good idea, or that one specific one, right? But I didn't have anybody saying, that's not the right one for you. Go find the other. That's why we do that. Right. And so it was huge. I'm so glad you decided to just bet on yourself. Cause for me, it was like very clear, like, okay, she's just not going to fail. Like, it's just not going to happen. She's not going to let it happen.
Not gonna let it happen.
And so, awesome.
Awesome. Yeah. I think it definitely was a little like, when I made the decision not to go back into corporate America and just, it could have been relatively easy to just continue in my industry and marketing and sales or whatever. But I think once I realized I didn't want to do that, I wanted to be on the advertiser's side of the desk and call the shots and do fun stuff with marketing and all that kind of stuff. So I was like, I can do this. And but having, taking that lease, was, if the person who was going to do that was just going to take it and open the doors back up, that would be, I think, that's dumb, because it's going to fail again, which is what happened with the previous owner. The location is amazing. And the previous owner was juggling a family and his full-time job, which was demanding. And I don't know what the other issues were, but he had 2 laundromats. So my repair tech, this story is kind of, because it has a lot of twists and turns. My repair tech, the one I tried to buy, who only owned it for a month, and passed on my offer because they were like, we kind of want to own it for a little while. Yeah. More than 30 days. We want to kind of see how this goes too. But let's stay in touch. His store that he bought was owned by the same guy. So he calls me up one day and is like, I know, obviously he knows I'm looking for a laundromat. We talked about that one before, and that it was, not a good purchase. He said it's up for lease. Call this guy now. And I was like, I'm calling this guy now. And so, long story, after, a lot of over analyzing and looking at everything, I decided to pull the trigger and go for it. And, with your permission.
Yes, permission granted. Why didn't the repair tech guy spring for that deal?
That is a great question. And that is a really smart question too, and you asked me that on our consulting call, because obviously he's like, well, why wouldn't he buy it? Because he had just bought the other, his, and he has his repair service business.
He's see the irony in this, because you're about to get your second one in like a month in the story here too. So third.
No, yeah.
I mean, in the story, yeah.
In the story, yes. So yes.
Yeah.
Anyway, where was I going? I don't know. Yeah. Sorry, I'm a little off track. Where were we?
Well, I was asking why he didn't snatch it.
Right, yeah, because he just bought that one. That was going to be his first ever owning one, and he's trying to coach his sons, right? So he had his repair tech business. He has this laundromat, trying to manage his family and his kids, managing the business and all that. So he's like, it's too much for me to take on another one. They did seriously look at it, but they decided, like, it was also a very short time. So they had only owned their laundromat for 5 months at that time, or not even, like 4 months. So it was just too much for them to take on it at that time.
Yeah.
Far for him too.
Okay.
That's the other thing of like where they live in the county. It's a little too far of a regular commute.
Yeah. Can I ask it's like a little bit of a personal question, but you don't have to get like detailed on it or numbers wise or anything.
I'm an open book, sometimes too open.
When you were going to get this laundromat, the pickup and delivery business, was that paying your bills yet? Was that? Okay.
No.
Because there's all kinds of scary happening here, right? Like you're not covering your bills with your pickup and delivery yet. You're committing to a business that needs work and has already failed. And then you're about to get another one in the story, right? Here. And so how are you pulling the trigger on this? How are you doing this? Because so many people I talk to get stuck. They can't take that step. How are you doing this?
So I took out a home equity line of credit. Mm-hmm. Thank goodness I did that before I got fired. So I had that going because a couple of months before I was let go, that's when the laundromat bug started, right? So I was like, I'm going to pull out some money from my home equity and have that available to buy a laundromat if it, presents itself. So I had already set that up. So I used that to plus for the free one, which obviously Tony, my repair tech, he was like, when he called me and said, this one is coming, it's for lease, it's got everything in it. He knows because he was the repair tech at that store, right? So he's like, it needs about $10,000 worth of new equipment and repairs. So I was like, okay. So I basically just kind of knew that I had my home equity to leverage to get it up to speed. And then I also, with the new machines, I leveraged the financing, the manufacturing financing, Laundrolux. That's who I ended up going with for that store.
Yeah. I just want to point out, like, that's another layer of scary, right? So now you're tying all those scary things to your home. The reason I'm pointing this out is because like you're betting on yourself here. Like it's so easy to, I'm sure you're not exactly even like where you want to be. And you probably haven't even optimized all this stuff to like be performing how it is. But
but like, it's so easy to see, your brand and the fun that you're having and your positive attitude and think, oh, like you did it. Like, this is awesome. Things went really well. But it's so easy to lose sight of, you got fired or laid off.
Let go.
Let go. You got let go. You got, sorry, I didn't mean fired. Like that's
no, I say
terrible.
fired.
But I mean, you got let go. You started a business from scratch. It wasn't covering your bills yet. And you got another one where you had to put money into it. You risked your home essentially in order to make all this happen. And you got a second one like right after, right? Like this is a lot. Like, and I don't want people to kind of lose sight of sometimes this is what it takes to build a business, and it's scary. And unless you're just kind of independently wealthy and you've got all the money in the world to just throw at some of this stuff, like this is what it takes. This kind of thing is what it takes. To make it happen. So kudos to you. I wanted to give you credit for being brave. I mean, it's genuinely, it's just a brave thing to do.
One way I look at it also is though, like kind of, it's almost a way which like you can't fail. You're taking out so much risk. Failure's not an option, right? Yeah. Like, is it that, or am I just like, I'm not a risk adverse person, obviously, but I do overanalyze things. I do, I don't know if I overanalyze, but I do analyze things a lot to death. But I'm almost like, am I subconsciously like taking these big risks? So I have to succeed. Like it's just not an option to not succeed. Not fall back and go, oh, I can just go get another job in marketing or sales or whatever. For one, I can tell you wholeheartedly today, that is never going to happen. I've been bitten so hard with, the laundry bug, but just not even the laundry bug, but I started with the laundry bug, obviously, but just creating my own destiny and mm-hmm. having that is such an amazing feeling. And the past year, as much as or year and a half really, is like, as much as it's been, I never say stressful, like, I need a better word than stressful. It's like, it's stressful, but good stress. It's not really even stressful. It's really more of like, it's just a lot to do. Yeah. There's just a lot to do. I have so much to do. At the same time, another quote I have in front of me is, enjoy the journey. And that is also something that I've really taken to heart, is like, this is freaking fun. It's so fun. And I know, some of the risk I think about too, like, I'm like, oh, like I need to hurry up. I need to get the store open. I got to like rush, get this store open, get those machines turning and make some money. At the same time, like I have this vision in my head and this like comfort in knowing it's all going to be fine. It's like, this is going to be successful. Like I have zero doubt in my mind that this is all going to be fine. It's going to be great. And it's just going to get better. It's just so much to do. Like there's not enough time in the day. And
well, you know why? It's because you did all the things all at one time. That's why.
A crazy person. But no, it's kind of one of those things. I just tell my kids this. I'm like, not so much anymore because I have been able to slow down a little bit. But, I have one of the things I really wanted to strive for was spending more time with my kids. That is one of the things mm-hmm. that I just also decided, like, that is one of my goals of owning these businesses is I want to be more available for my kids. And, we have breakfast together nearly every day, dinner together every night. Like we, have those times, and I cut those out specifically. But like I was telling them at dinner one night, we were talking about the laundry business because I always talk about the laundromats. But it's really cool because they have watched me, you know, they're 13 and 16 now, but they've watched me for the past year and a half, like go from this devastation of losing my job to like, fuck it. Sorry. Like, screw it. I'm going all in on this business. There's no turning back. This is happening. And they've been helping, you know, they've processed many orders. They've done lots of pickup and deliveries with me. They've held the map, you know, the phone with the map telling me where to go and all this stuff along the way. But I was telling them, I'm working this hard so I don't have to work this hard. Like that, that is the goal right now. It's like, it's not going to be like this forever, you know, like I'm getting there, you know, I'm getting there. But at the same time, it's really fun. Like I don't feel like it's work, right? It's not work to me. It's growing a business, and it's super fun for me and our people, right? Our laundromat people.
That's right. Well, and I think that's the essence. I think you just like boiled down entrepreneurship, business ownership right there, right? Like a lot of people are looking for, you know, passive income, and there's, you know, all the jokes on, you know, the Facebook groups and all that stuff. Oh, like passive income, here it is. My laundromat's flooded again, or somebody just drove through my front window, or whatever it is. Right. And, you know, and I get that. And I definitely empathize with that sentiment of like, there's a whole lot about this business that is not passive. But with that said, like, I think the, you know, if you're working your marketing job, you know, going forward, like you're working your marketing job, like that's how you're bringing in revenue. You know, it's that time for money. When you own a business or multiple businesses, you know, the goal is you're building something that gives you that freedom, right? Or at the very least, that gives you that flexibility, so you can carve out the times for your kids, and you know you can do stuff that you want to do with life, right? And like that to me that's the essence of it, right? That's why we work so hard. That's why we work so hard so that we don't have to work hard. I thought that was a great way to put it, because it's not passive, especially early on. You're building something, and once you've built the thing, then you can throttle back if that's what you want to do. But I love that.
Or really just like focus on the things that I like to do. Like I mentioned, I'm not a numbers person, right? So like in today's, you know, programs, the amount of data that is accessible to us as operators now, right, is which still sounds really cool. Like I feel like I kind of get chills when I say like I'm an operator, because I have had like such laundromat owner envy I had it for so long before I got mine, and now I feel like I'm like I'm one of them, you know, like I'm
right.
Yes, have my own laundromat. 2, actually now 3, which we'll get into. But it's very cool. The flexibility, I think, is one of the greatest things ever, is that, you know, I can work when I want to work. I can, you know, spend more time with my kids. I can, you know, get them to their practices. I can run the carpools. I can do, you know, whatever. So that is fantastic. But also just really having that control of how big do I want to get? How small do I want to be? You know, am I okay with just this? No. Do I want more? And being the one who calls the shots is super cool. That is very cool. So it's kind of like, you know, making all the decisions, but yeah, getting to a place and scaling to a place where I want to be, where I'm not doing everything, and that I just get to do the fun stuff for me. That is, you know, what I consider fun. That's where I want to be, because I don't foresee anytime soon wanting it to be a passive business. Right. So like, it's fun. Like, why would I not want to work in it? Like, you know what I mean? I don't want it to ever be passive. I want to be able to, I want like the data analysis to be passive or obsolete, just not me doing it at all. So, that's where, we can talk a little bit about too, is partnership I'm entering into that brings that side of it. So.
Awesome. Okay. Well, before we get into that, I want to talk about, okay, so you took over this lease and it sounded like you had to do a little bit of work, maybe add a little machines, fix machines up and stuff. A lot of work. Okay.
Because the owner, I think, thought it was going to be his passive investment. He was going to buy these 2 laundromats and run them both into the ground, essentially. So it was in bad shape. It had been closed for 8 months. So it was all boarded up and closed down. So, and it looked like he just left yesterday. Like literally the POS was there and on. The radio is on. Like the machines are there.
You just locked the doors and walked away.
Yeah. He only took the internet modem. That's all he took. So I wasn't afraid of, him going down the street and opening another laundromat or anything. So there was a lot of work to do to get that one up to snuff, which enter the second one, right? So the second one I saw come up for sale, and I was shocked because I had made it very clear to who the broker who was brokering the business sale was an alliance guy that I had met at one of the shows. So I call him up because I have his number personally. And I called him up and I'm like, why am I seeing this laundromat on Biz Buy Sell? Like, what? I thought I made it very clear to you. I want to buy a laundromat. And this is right up my alley. So I made an offer on that one. I didn't get it. But when he told me that I didn't get it, I did have an opportunity to counter. I did counter. I really wanted it. And which was crazy. So why I really wanted it, for a couple reasons. One, it's been managed incredibly well for years. Location, again, is amazing. And when I did the math, I'm like, I actually really need this one because the one I was, got one free in this BOGO deal was not going to make money for a while. I kind of I knew that, but I also figured I could not bleed as much money every month from this free one to get, open and up and running and build back the clientele and get those customers back was going to take a while. It wasn't going to be like just open the doors and all of a sudden you have a amazing customer base who does their laundry there every week. So, it's taken a while to get people to even realize that it's open again. Signage and blah, blah, blah. Anyway, so once this other one came up for sale and people thought I was crazy, like, are you just got one, now you're going to buy another one? Like literally this almost the same time. But then when I explain it to people, I'm like, but this one makes money and this one doesn't. And this one actually loses a lot of money and this one can kind of help offset that. So, but I was also really sad that I didn't get it, the first go around. Mm-hmm. But talking to the broker and trying to get some feedback about my offer, I learned that it was a competitive offer, that the seller just felt like they wanted to go with somebody who was perceived as being more stable. So it was like a married couple, husband had a full-time good job, wife wanted a job, I guess, maybe, right, to clean the laundromat or whatever. because this one is fully unattended. So turns out they fell through. And then it went to a second, the backup offer. So I was technically third in line for this place. And the second buyers fell through also. So who turned out to be the most stable person in this whole deal? That would be me.
That's right.
So I ended up getting it, and I ended up getting it less than I, a lot less than what I was going to originally pay for it. But then when his deals kept falling through, I think I got really lucky and fortunate that I think he was kind of worn down. You know, he's like, can I just sell this thing? Like, we've already gone through, 2 buyers that have fallen out, and, and this lady is all in on it. So like, can we just fine, whatever she wants, like, let's just close.
Did you amend how'd you get it for less? Did you amend your offer and say, well, now I'm at this price?
Yeah. And you know what? So it was also, they were offering seller financing. So that's another, thing to go back to in terms of how am I doing all this? That was very appealing, obviously. So, but yeah, like working through the seller financing numbers, I was like, again, I'm not a numbers person. So it took me a few days to like try to come up with this offer of like, how are we getting this number with seller financing? And then after racking my brain for literally like a full day of me number crunching, I just picked up the phone and called the broker. And I was like, would he just say cash? Because like, this is making my head hurt, and I'm not getting to like where I want to get the offer to. And he was like, yeah, I think he would take cash. So I was like, okay, this is my offer. And he's like, okay. I'm like, what do you think? And he's like, I think he'll take it. And I'm like, okay, well, call me back. And he called me back within like a half an hour, and he's like, we have a deal. I was like, oh my God, like I've been agonizing over this stupid seller financing thing for days. And so, okay, going back to again, where the cash came from, again, from your community and learning one of your guests talking, which I've since connected with to get more information on the ROBS program, Rollover for Business Startup, which I had to rewind that probably 10 times listening to your podcast. I'm like, whoa, like, wait, what? I've been wanting, I thought I did research it pretty well to figure out how I could tap into my 401k, which was now an IRA since I was no longer with my company. But I was over the moon to learn about the ROBS program. So I knew I had my home equity line. I have my ROBS program, at my fingertips, which again is the Rollover for Business Startup is essentially I'm not paying penalty or taxes on taking that money out to buy a business or start a business. So there's a lot to do. Like there's lots of regulations. So I highly recommend not doing it yourself, which I had no interest in anyway. But I used guidance. So they helped me. I connected with the guy that you had on your podcast. I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but asked him a ton of questions, which he was super helpful to learn more about that. But anyway, so with that, I bought the laundromat, the second one that helps to pay for the first one.
Was it performing as advertised when you took it over?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Was it? Or, I mean, you say yes.
This is another reason why this one was so attractive. And people, I have like my best friend, she is very nurturing and concerned for her best friend and not like, doing stupid things or foolish things. But she was like, has a million questions like, oh my God, like, how do you know it's making all this money? So as I mentioned, it was managed incredibly well. So it's kind of, I guess you could liken it to, buying a car that has every single receipt, repair, service thing that ever happened to it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the, certified mileage, whatever. It was the most assured I could ever imagine, honestly, especially hearing and talking to so many people in the industry of like, receipts, what, no, bank deposits, no. Like, you're going to have to just trust us, right? Like, how many times have people heard that? I'm like, well, take it or leave it. Like, you're going to have to take some trust. This one wasn't. Like, everything was documented. There was literally down to, the cash that he would take off the top of, like, it's documented. Like, he was like, and so, yes, at the end of the day, it was as advertised.
Awesome.
I hesitated about that because it was just like, I took the lease over in November 1st, Christmas time, hot water pipe bursts. Place gets the laundromat didn't get flooded, but it jacked up the machines. It caused all kinds of problems. And so I dealt with that, had to close for 5 days, which was brutal because it was Christmas. My family was in town. I was constantly getting calls. So the machines were, we were able to use cold water while we, cold only, which nowadays is not a horrible thing, but still people were like turned off, right? Like, oh, it's only cold water while you get these repairs fixed. So that, but also when people would choose, and I learned this is good for other owners, new owners, I guess, when the customer would choose hot or warm water, even though they know there is none.
Cold water only, yeah.
Maybe it's a habit of like, hey, I just that's what I do because I do this all the time. The machine is looking for hot water, and then it goes into error mode. So I was constantly getting calls like, the machine's not working. I'm like having to flip breakers, doing all this stuff. I'm like, I should have probably in hindsight just closed instead of, dealing with all the problems. But at the same time, obviously you need to keep those machines running, right? Because I'm using this good one to pay for the free one. So any little bit of money that one is losing is twice as bad, basically.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you're one of us. Yay. You made it. Yay. Yes. Christmas time, dealing with burst pipes and machines that are, But what you went for it, like, again, you know what I mean? Like you went for it. Yes, there's consequences. But in the long run, I mean, I think the consequences will be positive consequences, even though along the way, you got to deal with stuff. Like stuff happens like that and you got to deal with it. How is I'm going to put it in air quotes. How's the free one doing now?
Great.
Good.
Thank goodness. I mean, it's still, so we basically took like the paper off the windows, Thanksgiving week. So I did not have the new signage up yet. I didn't have machines. Yeah, I guess I did have the new machines. It was all cleaned up, but it was still needed a lot of work. But obviously I was really trying to I got to open the doors because even, going there every day, cleaning and fixing stuff and trashing stuff because it had built up like a lot of stuff that was just no longer needed. And so cleaning all that out, I had 2 junk loads, 2 different times taking junk out of that place that had just been there for years. But even when I was there every day, people would stop by. It's right next to 7-Eleven. So people will come by and they'll be like, are you opening? are you open yet? Can I literally had a guy like roll in with his suitcase and I'm like painting or cleaning or something. And he's like, can I use one of these machines? I was like, no, not yet. Sorry. Like we're not ready yet. But so I knew that there was going to be interest. And obviously it had been a laundromat for like 30 years before it had closed down. So it had the 7-Eleven built-in traffic. It's on a very busy main street. So I knew the traffic would come eventually. So it's taken a while, but it's been 5 months, December, January, February, March, 4 months. So it's getting better every week, which, that's what I'm hopeful for. And, I will say I'm very, very happy to say that I kind of projected out, kind of made up numbers, but I kind of projected out like how much it was going to lose the first year. Before I took the lease, right? Like, I mean, I think you and I even talked about it. And like, like, I am, not naive to think that like, it's going to take a while. Like, it's not going to start happening. But I also knew that I could step up the pickup and delivery too, right? So like, okay, well now I need to step that up so I can help offset this losing, laundromat. And I did negotiate some free rent as part of the lease. So I didn't have to pay rent for a few months. So that was helpful, obviously too. But fortunately the projections, so January to February, my projections, I exceeded by 100%, which was crazy. So, but yeah, I'm really happy. And the other thing I was very nervous about, even Tony, my repair tech's like, you're bold. But so I had some new machines, not all new machines. I didn't retool the whole place because I could not afford to do that. But every machine was working and I got some new machines. And I just lost my train of thought. Oh, I know what I was going to say. Pricing. So the way I structured my pricing was I do not want to go down or raise, to go up. So I'm like, quickly. So I'm like, I'm just going to start out straight out of the gate really high. And so I am the highest in the area. And all my competitors are much less expensive than, I shouldn't say much less expensive, but I'm the highest. Mm-hmm. So even my repair tech, he was like helping me set the pricing, right? And he's like, how much do you want this? How much do you want this top loader? I was like, He's like, bold. I was like, because I'm like, I don't want to change it. Like, I'm just starting out and I don't want to change it 3 months from now that I've started too low, or, I'm like, I want to lock in this pricing for a year. So it's going to be high. And guess what? I'm sure, I haven't checked recently, but I'm sure the competition is going to raise their prices because they can. Mm-hmm. Because the people who are coming in, another thing I learned from the community is if they come in and walk out, that's okay. There's more people that come in and don't give a shit than people. I don't want the price sensitive customer. So as part of my brand, that's not the customer I want. So I'm going high and the customers love it. They're appreciative of, because remember, it had closed down because it was turning. Yeah,
because the service is better now, right? And the experience is better. And so you're able to kind of charge the higher prices, right? And there's, I've said this before. I mean, there's different business models and there's not necessarily a right or a wrong one, but, one of the things that you talked about right from the get-go and is coming back around right now is that brand, right? And who you want your customer to be and how you want to position yourself in the market. And I did another podcast interview, which as we're doing this. I don't think it's come out yet, but will have once this one comes out. And we're talking about just the importance of brand. Like branding has been an afterthought in this industry for a long time. And right now, branding is one of the most important things that you can do and invest in for your business, whether you invest that time, effort, energy to come up with that on your own, or you invest money to have somebody help you build a brand. Like that is one of the most valuable things you can do for your business right now, because there are some strong brands. Number one, being built in this industry through other operators like you who are wanting to build that strong brand. And number two, there's some big money coming in that have some strong brands behind them, like Tide Laundromat franchises, like Kathy Ireland Laundry, which is now coming in. Like these are names that are household names that we're competing with. So our brands, you can't just be Laundromat or Coin Laundry or Washateria anymore, right? Like you're going to struggle going forward if that's your quote unquote brand. You got to get really clear on that. So I love that you're doing that. And the other thing I want to point out is, so while you're buying this quote unquote free laundromat and this other laundromat, you're still doing pickup and delivery. Is that?
Oh yeah. That's the, honestly, like that is one of the things where before I had the laundromat and I was working with the laundromat owner that I was going to buy from that pulled it off, that he and I talked lots about, like, he's like, you know what, you might get your pickup and delivery business so big, you don't want a laundromat. You don't need a laundromat. Or you get industrial space that's cheaper, and you're just processing orders. Like he kind of walked me through like what could happen and, what that might be a way I want to go. I did not want to go that route because it was just easier to get an established laundromat in my mind of get one where I can do the processing at. And then if I need to get a bigger place to do processing, then we look at it at that point. But I kind of wanted both. Again, I had the, FOMO of the owner community of like, I want to be an owner too. But the pickup and delivery, I just feel like there is such an incredible opportunity in this space. And I'm sure you see it, you hear it all the time that, our on-demand culture, it's like my best friend, who worries to death about me. I'm having the conversation with her when I started. She's like, I just don't get it. She lives in a small town in Illinois and she's just like, I just don't get it. I don't see why people would pay for this service. Like, she's scratching her head. Like I'm not seeing it. And then she's like, but wait, so, her early 20-year-old daughter, who's college graduate, got a great job straight out of college, making good money. She's like, Amanda she and her boyfriend Ubered to the bar. They Ubered home from the bar, and then they ordered like $40 worth of DoorDash delivered. So maybe you are. I'm like, like this on-demand society we're not going to go back, right? Like there's never, the only trajectory is up, right? Like for this on-demand service industry, we're never going to go back to like doing it yourself when, for the most part, right?
Yeah.
So the opportunity is, I just feel like enormous for that service aspect of it. But here's a couple things I'll say about the brand. Going back a minute, when I was working at my little Bubbles hut 3 hours every day. And I called it happy hour and brunch because I would only I'd only have the hut open from 3 to 7 p.m. Monday through Saturday, and then Sunday mornings from 9 to noon. So that's when I would be there, kind of educating people how the lockers are going to work. I didn't have the lockers working at that time, but I was like, this is what's going to happen. This is how it's going to go. But in the meantime, I'll just take your clothes. So, but I had a customer who, a couple of customers I'll tell you about. One is I'm standing there in my like branded, shirt or hat or whatever. And, we're talking, she's asking me about the business, and then she stops me and she's like, is this a franchise? And I was like, oh my God, like, this is a franchise. I was like, I literally almost started crying. I was like, this makes me so proud. Like, she's like, seriously, she was very complimentary, and it was a very proud moment for myself. But her saying that, and I've since had that asked of me a lot, which is awesome. And kudos to me, right? Pat myself on the back.
Yeah, absolutely. Now we're glazing on you.
Yeah, let me glaze on myself. Jeez. No, but that makes me very proud. And like you said, I do think I'm very fortunate that I have that experience to kind of create brands. And like, I know tons of experience in PowerPoint and Canva and all that kind of stuff to do a lot of it myself. But if you pay somebody, I think it's well worth it to just build that credibility. And again, like a lot of my career has been spent in creating advertising and marketing strategies for small, medium businesses. And that is one of the things is like, you have to look credible. You have to look confident. You have to look credible. You have to, make the customer feel secure and confident in your services. So that to me is very much the direction I wanted to go with my brand is like, this is a mom and pop shop for sure. Or a mom shop, mom and kids shop, but there's no exception. I feel like with the level of quality that I'm going to deliver, that a Tide can deliver, right? So like that's my feeling. But I'll tell you another quick story about a customer and how I feel on the West Coast, Best Coast, a little slow to adopt. I know you love that saying.
That's right.
I had a customer roll up one day and I was like blown away because, when my time was spent at the hut, I was really educating people. People walk by, people stop by asking questions. And this guy comes up one day and he's just like, oh, cool. You got lockers. All right, cool. Oh, you have an app. Yeah. Scans the QR code, downloads the app. He's like, all right, I need a couple of bags. I'm like, what is happening right here? Like, he's not asking me any questions. Right. So I was like, this is so weird. I'm like, so he didn't have time to like get into it with me right then, but he's like, all right, I need a couple of bags. I'm going to run home, fill these up and I'll be right back. And I'm like, okay. And he left. I was just like, my head was spinning. I was like, what just happened? Like he really didn't ask me any questions. Like, so long story short is when he comes back to pick up his laundry, he did come back, fill the bags up, deliver it. I processed it, get it back to him. When he had more time to talk to me, I was like, how did you just like know how this goes? And like, you didn't ask me hardly any questions. And he's like, I'm from the East Coast. He's like, we do this all day, every day. Like, you're like, I know about this. This is no brainer. California's a little slow to adopt on the process. So that was also honestly made me feel more confident and comfortable in knowing like the opportunity is huge. So we're going to catch up to the East Coast and like, they just know how this goes. But so again, kind of back to the point about pickup and delivery, I think absolutely. Like if I was going to go all in on any one of the businesses, it would be that.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, and great stories too. I mean, I think both of those customer stories, I mean, they just kind of illustrate, the power of the brand and the trajectory of pickup and delivery, right? And drop off laundry. Like, I think like you said, we're kind of scratching the surface here, and we're going up and up, at least for a while. So it should be a fun ride for anybody in that business, I think.
Absolutely. That's great.
Yeah. Well, tell us, you kind of been teasing a future endeavor / partnership or whatever. So give us a little bit of detail on that.
So the latest and greatest is that I was approached about, I guess, a couple of months ago now. A guy texted me one day and basically said, "Hi, Amy. My name is Kyle. I got your letter from April of last year. Basically, we're now interested in selling." And again, I was like, "Oh my God, like it works. The letters work. The letters work. Walking in works. Obviously, again, I have a marketing background, so I'm marketing my own self of like trying to acquire a laundromat. So, but long story is he got my letter that I had sent a while back. And I actually, when I walked in on that one, so I mailed a bunch of letters. And then I also, the ones that I would just drive by and liked, I would leave a letter and try to wrap out with the attendant. Mm-hmm. And this one, I was talking to the attendant for a while. And of course, at first she was a little standoffish, right? Like she's like, I got the impression that people like me come in there all the time wanting to buy the place. But once I like wore her down a little bit and was just like, this is my story. Like, this is, what I want to do. Like I'm all in. I'm definitely on the hunt for a laundromat, and I love this place. It is so cute and great location, all the things. She was great. She's like, I'll give it to them, but they're not interested in selling. Like I can't imagine they're going to sell and da. So it was like, basically like, it's not going to happen, lady, move on. So when I talked to the owner who texted me and was like, it's now for sale, I was like, I knew exactly which one it was. And I was like, I'm only interested in buying if Rachel's coming with, because she was awesome. And she walked the line perfectly of, the attendant who does not want to give people like us the time of day and trying to sell the laundromat or trying to buy the laundromat, but also being warm customer service of, I'm hearing you. I am going to actually give the letter to the owners, because, how many times do people probably throw it in the trash because they get it all the time.
Yeah.
Right? But she actually did. And so anyway, so yes, that one came up. Long story is I was tapped out. I'm like, I can't do this by myself. And I've had a friend of mine who's just a friend in the community. Our kids have grown up together. They've been in school together since they were in preschool. Neighborhood friend. He's like one of the only people, speaking of community, that ever has like shown much of interest in what I'm doing, right? In terms of the laundromats, and like digs deep. Every time I see him, at neighborhood parties or sports events around the neighborhood or whatever, he really very genuinely was like, what's going on? What are you doing now? I'd love, he's always compliments me on the marketing and stuff like that, but very interested. So he and I had a very serious conversation that he initiated of like, I want to get in on this laundromat stuff. And that was a funny thing too, is when he first told me that he wanted to get in on it, I was like, okay, I'm going to send you some podcasts to listen to. And I felt like it was almost like a test, right? So I was like, if he doesn't listen to these podcasts, then he's not really interested. So then he would like send me texts of like, oh my God, like this is so good. And like, yeah, or like, did you hear this? Or did you hear that one? And so I'm like, okay, he's serious. He's really wanting to get in on this. So again, I'll try and be brief, but essentially I told him about that one. I'm like, I want to get it. I will figure out a way to get it. And he's like, I'll do it. I get it. Like, I'll get that one. We're going to put it under the Bubbles brand. And we now have like 3 Bubbles stores. So, so that one is, that one's happened. We haven't changed the brand quite yet because, again, going to the brand stuff, I'm like, I don't want to put the Bubbles brand on this store because it's not ready yet. So we have to do it, it needs some work. So I'm not going to put the Bubbles brand on it until it gets up to
Bubble standards. Yeah.
Enough. Yeah.
Yeah. I like it. Well, it's crazy right now. Like I'm listening to your whole story, and I talk to people all the time, right? You kind of hit the trifecta. Listen, everybody's trying to find free laundromats. You got a free laundromat, quote unquote, right? Everybody's looking for seller financing deal. You found a seller financing deal. You end up not using it, but you found a seller financing deal. Everybody's looking for a money partner to partner with so that they'll bring the money and you bring the know-how. You found a partner, right? Like you're hitting the trifecta, but I think it demonstrates like the power, number one, of like those quotes you were hitting in the very beginning of like, just get after it, go do it. And like, I think that number one is what has led to a lot of this. And then number two, doing what you're doing kind of in front of people, right? Like letting people know what you're doing.
Yeah.
Whether that's distributors, service technicians, people in the community, people on the podcast, like you're letting people know what you're doing. And like stuff happens when you do that. When you just get after it, you don't say no. You say, okay, let me figure out a way to make this happen. Tap in various resources, whether that's equity in your house or retirement funds or other people's money or whatever it is. Like you're just kind of making it happen, and you're doing it in a I don't want to say like a public way, but kind of in a public way where you're just letting people know what you're looking for, what you're trying to do. People get behind that. They see that, they get inspired by that and want to be a part of it. They want to be a part of it.
That's what my new partner says is he's like, it's contagious. Like you're contagious.
Yeah.
Like the laundromat. I'm like, it's not me. Like it is. It's part of the
you.
World. Like
you bet on yourself. Like it. I mean, yes. Like listen, there's the cult aspect there, right? Like, that's just. But you bet on yourself, and like this is what happens when you bet on yourself, and then you put everything into that bet, right? Yeah. Like win or go home kind of thing. I just have
so far that like you have to.
You have to, yeah.
But no, it is fun, and like I said, it's not. I don't feel like it's work because it's so fun. It's so fun. I love the customers. I love customer service. Like I love playing store. Like that's what one of some girlfriends I was talking to recently. They were like, tell us about like how, like, what is your day like? Or like, how are you liking it or whatever? And I'm like, well, when I'm at the laundromats, I'm like, I really love that part too, because I'm like, when a customer comes up and is like, oh, can I get a box of Tide or box of, detergent or whatever? I'm like, sure. And then like, I feel like, do the register or the POS, right? I'm like, I loved playing store when I was a girl. Little register and, it had the fake money you're giving back. And, I loved being in customer service and making customers happy. And also, obviously, the way to do that is delivering a great service and a quality service. So I love that aspect of it. I just think it's super fun. And fortunately, I do get to play with the POS occasionally, but then not, have to do it all day, every day by myself. So,
yeah.
And that is another thing too, that like I could potentially, not bleed as much money if I did want to work in the store all day, every day. Right. Mm-hmm. So, but that's not also the kind of store I want. And, that's not what I want to do all day, every day. Like I love sales and marketing. I want to do sales and marketing. So another great thing about the partner is that he loves data and he loves analyzing data, and he comes from the energy industry. And so he loves efficiencies and looking at not only like equipment efficiencies, but operational efficiencies and like how can we get, these machines specifically, because we know from the data that they don't turn as much as these ones or what, all that stuff. So I think at the end of the day, the partnership is going to be great because we have that complementary skill set, right?
I love it. And, it's solving multiple of your problems all at one time there potentially. I mean, too soon to tell, but potentially could be solving. Yeah. How do I get that third one? How do I offload the data analysis, the number stuff that you don't like? All right, listen, before we hit record, we agreed on a do not pass time that we have far surpassed already. Yes. So, which is great. I mean, we could do this we already said this, we could do this all day, and maybe we just do another one again and talk more about it. But I don't want to end this thing without one of the themes that has run through this entire interview, this entire episode here has been networking. So with that said, if somebody is listening to this and is like, you know what, Amy is infectious and that is somebody that I want to know, or that's somebody I want to ask questions, or that's somebody that I want to talk business with, what's the best way for people to connect with you and network with you if they want to reach out?
They can email me is probably the best way right now, amy@bubbleslaundryservice.com.
Awesome. And we'll have that in the show notes, or if you're on YouTube, that'll be down below so you can reach out to Amy. Amy, this has been not only incredibly entertaining just to hear your story and the stories within your story, but so informative. And like I said, you're out there doing the things that so many people want to do. Even owners who are existing owners, you're doing stuff that a lot of us want to be doing too. And you're doing it with a lot of joy. It is contagious, if not even infectious. And I don't know, I'm jazzed up. I knew I would be, but it's also biased. You're a little biased. Yes, I am a little bit, but that's right. I'm a full-fledged member over here. Can't get out of. I've been jumped in and can't get jumped out now.
It's a great cult to be in. I honestly, yeah. And I would say to people too that you can do it. It's way easier. I wish I would have known probably at least 10 years ago. There are ways you can make it happen if you really want to make it happen. There's ways. I didn't realize that. But now I love it.
I mean, I think that's a mic drop moment right there. There are ways. Don't go into it with that negative attitude if you can't do something. Figure out how to do it. And you're a perfect example of figuring out how to get things done and how to make stuff happen and how to bet on yourself and get out there and earn that victory, right? Earn that win on the bet.
Well, and I couldn't do it, honestly. The community, not to be more blazing, but without your first podcast, I started listening to and consumed nearly every single episode up until lately. And then the community that thrust me into too with other, laundromat podcasts and whatnot. But yes. And getting friends through the community, that's right. And having that, mutual understanding has been amazing and so incredibly inspiring and supportive and building the confidence. So I appreciate what you're doing because I definitely would not be where I am today without podcasts like this and the great questions you ask and pull out of your guests. So thank you so much, Jordan, really.
Well, and I'll end it with this, thank you for coming full circle and coming on here and volunteering your time. Truly doing some great stuff. And
a goal of mine too, by the way, I'm not trying to belate this, but
it is.
Honestly, when I first started listening to you, I was like, I want to be on this podcast one day. So it is I'm probably going to start crying as soon as I get off of here, but it's pretty cool.
Yeah. Sure. Well, listen, it's downhill in life from here. This is probably the pinnacle. No, I'm just kidding. No, well, and again, thank you for doing that because it means a lot. It meant a lot to you for the people who've come on before and shared their stories. And guess what? Now you're in that line, and people are going to feel the same way about you in the story. And there's just so much good stuff in here. For sure. Yeah. So reach out to Amy. Amy, you are instant star. I know this will be an instant classic episode and a fan favorite. So thank you again for coming on. And let's do this again sooner rather than later. I would love that.
I would love to. All right. Thanks, Jordan.
Hope you loved it. I mean, I don't even hope. I know you loved it. Huge shout out and thank you to Amy for coming on the show and sharing so much. Again, one of my favorite episodes ever. So much good energy. Her story is awesome and she just shared so much practical stuff. Amy, you are welcome back on the show anytime. Let's do it again soon. For those of you who are listening to Amy, however, she has been putting in the hard work, taking action. It's your turn now. Pick something. One thing from this episode, put it into action today, if possible. If not today, this week. And let's keep stacking actions every single week. Help us build our dreams and our goals through Laundromat ownership. All right. We'll see you next time. Peace.